Hello there everybody, Sam Strains here, welcome back to the railway and welcome back to another big running session. It's been probably months actually since I last did a big running session, so I thought I'd do another one today because you guys have always said you enjoyed them. So as you can tell by the title and the thumbnail, today's is going to be a big LMS running session, and I've picked, I think it's going to be around 17 LMS locos. I'd love to show all of them, or all of the ones that I've got, but I think it would get a little bit dull, so I've just picked some old favourites that run quite a bit on the channel, but I've also tried to get some lesser seen engines that I don't show quite so much in here. So it should be quite a nice, relaxing session actually. So I hope you enjoy it. Keep an eye out on the locos. Let me know which one was your favourite at the end, and we'll compare notes and see which one wins. And I'm also going to put up some trivia questions on the top right somewhere as we go. So see if you can answer those. I'm going to start off easy and get more difficult. And I say difficult, but I know 99% of you people will get them all right first time. And also, I'm really excited today because finally I've managed to fix two of my troublesome Bachmann LMS locos. One of them's had a problem for absolutely years, the other one had a problem that developed just a few months ago, and finally I've been able to find the problem and fix it. It's been an issue that's plagued me for years and it's been really getting on my nerves, and I finally found what it was. I'll talk about it more later on, but I'm really pleased because it's meaning that I haven't got to send the 40 quid to Bachmann or whatever just for them to send me two 3-pole motors, which was a lot of money and I wasn't keen on doing that, but yes, I don't have to now. So let's get on with the LMS running session then. The first sort of round, the first three locos are DCC locos, that's the first theme. I don't do a lot of DCC running these days, so I thought I would today. So we're going to be kicking off with 3 DCC engines from the LMS. Hope you enjoy it. Let's get to it. So first up then, this is a beautiful Princess Royal class. It's a Pacific, of course, Princess Royal. This particular engine is Princess Elizabeth in this beautiful LMS maroon. And of course, you can't really do a running session with the LMS without including one of the princesses. So yes, there she is. And as you can tell, she's pulling quite a big rake of my LMS coaches, I think 6 of those. So quite a nice train really, quite a nice consist for her. But let's get her started then at a decent express passenger speed, the Princess Royal, Princess Elizabeth. There she goes. Oh, I think I'll need to make her a little faster than that, won't I? Anyway, next loco. So this one is also a very famous LMS locomotive, but unlike the Princess, which was a passenger loco, this of course is a heavy goods locomotive, heavy freight locomotive. It's the 8F, of course, a very famous locomotive from roughly around the World War II era, I believe. And you can't have a running session on my channel without somehow including the ocean of ocean wagons. So stretching right back behind the bookcase, there they are, you can see them. But now then, let's get the 8F going at a little bit of a slower speed, shall we? Okay, here we go. There she goes. Always a very good run of that one. And quite a good puller too, you can see really. Quite a few wagons on there, and they're not the most modern in the world, so quite a bit of drag on them. But yeah, she manages them just fine. Okay, let's head over to the inside line then, and I will show you what's going to run there. So here's yet another very famous LMS locomotive. In fact, this class may be even more famous than the Princess. I think it was one of the most numerous classes of British locomotive ever built. It is of course the Black 5, mine's in LMS Black and it's number 5112. And this one's actually a railroad model, it's the only Black 5 I own. The detail's not absolutely fantastic, but she is a good runner, and as you can see, she also has a goods train with some Kellogg's and also some McVitie's vans on the back there, so hopefully she'll manage them. She's historically not a great puller, but as I say, hopefully she'll manage it. So here we go, the Black 5. So I'm going to keep her going quite nice and slow because of course it is McVitie's and it would be sacrilegious to damage biscuits because they were going too fast. So anyway, enjoy the first 3 and I'll get some shots of them around the room. So hopefully you can see why I started off with the DCC section, because really all of the classic LMS locos that I own are all DCC fitted for some reason. So yep, had to start with those. And there goes the Black 5 just under the shot. I'm waiting here to see if the 8F's going to turn up, but I reckon she's too far away, so I'll move somewhere closer to her. Here comes the Black 5 first though in the distance. The Princess passing by. Yeah, even though she's a railroad model, the Black 5 that is, she's still got it, hasn't she? She's still got that charm on the track. And I'm actually surprised that she's not wheel slipping with this rake. It's pretty good, not bad at all. There goes the Princess. I'm just waiting here for another shot of the 8F. She won't be long now, she's coming.
Here she goes. I've had this 8F for absolutely years, and she wasn't in very good condition when I got her. And for a long while I didn't know how to service her, but obviously as I got better at that sort of thing, I was able to strip her down completely and get her running perfectly, and eventually DCC fit her. So, yeah, she's had quite a long journey. She had quite a few years of misery, but she's just fine now. Rightio, well, as much as I'm enjoying these three, and just look at this, look at that gorgeous rake of LMS coaches. As much as I'm loving this, there's a lot to get through today, as you can imagine, so I'm going to bring these to a stop for you, and I'll get the next lot on. So let me get those stopped now then. Okay, it's a race to see who gets here first. The Black 5 is closer, but she's going very slow, and the Princess is fast, but she's not quite so close. Now I think they're going to be roughly at the same time, so let's get these stopped. Let's stop the Princess and the Black 5. Stop yourself just there. Now we're just waiting on the 8F then. She's not too far away. Here she comes now, just around the curve. Last in. And I'm really glad I've gotten these going, because if I hadn't have done a DCC section, I wouldn't have been able to run these really. So I had to do it really, couldn't not have the Princess and the 8F. So there we go, that's the first three locos of the day. Now I'm going to be unplugging the DCC controller and going back onto DC to show you the rest. So I'm going to stick these three, well the locos, not the trains, just the locos, into the sidings over near the station, and I'll build those sidings up as the day goes on, and hopefully by the end it'll be a really, really interesting thing to look at. So I'm going to do that right now, and I'll be back in just a sec. So there you have it then. There are the first three engines, looking a little bit lonely at the moment, but obviously as the session goes on, the rest of these sidings here are all going to get pretty busy. So let's get on then, let's move on to the next section, and I will show you what engine number 4 is. So as you know, I like to split these big running sessions up into different themes. I just think it makes it a little bit more interesting. So we've already had the DCC theme, so now I thought I would go on to the passenger locomotives theme, and I'm starting off with this beautiful Bachmann Patriot. Now this is one of the locos I mentioned at the start as being one of the troublesome locos, so if you don't mind, I'm going to give you a little bit of a story about that one. So this is an issue that I've had a few times with Bachmann locos, and basically the symptom is when you first run them, first thing in the morning or whatever, and they haven't been run for a few hours or a few days, whatever, they produce a lot of smoke. They only run really, really slowly, and you can hear arcing and things inside the motor. And then what happens is, after they've done that for 30 seconds or so, they then pick up and they run absolutely normally. It's really, really bizarre. Now, a long time ago, I think I figured out the cause of this, and the main cause is over-oiling of the motor. Now, I know that isn't the only cause, because I had an ROD that did this, and in fact that started showing symptoms after I'd only owned it for a week, and I certainly hadn't needed to open that up to service it, so I know that one wasn't over-oiled. But this particular Patriot was over-oiled. Basically what happened was, this was many years ago when I certainly wasn't very experienced, and I'd only just gotten an oiling pen. You know what an oiling pen is, obviously. And this oiling pen had been great for 6 months, but it was empty, and I'd filled it back up with oil. And if any of you have got oiling pens, you'll know what it's like when you've just filled one up, because they flow. You know, the oil flows out of them much more than it did, obviously, when it was empty. And I wasn't expecting this, and very unfortunately, the oil spilled onto the motor, and that was that. Now, these days, I would know better than to run a loco after it's done that. These days, I would gut the motor and make sure it was completely cleaned of all the oil and such. But in those days I didn't, and I let it run like that, and shortly after these symptoms showed up. But for a long time I've been trying to figure out how I can correct the issue. I've had the motor to pieces, I've cleaned up the armature, made sure there's no oil on it or whatever, but the issue was still there. So yesterday I finally discovered what it was. Now on the armature there is a little plastic grommet. Well, it's not really a grommet, it's more like a washer. In fact, I've got it here, let me show it to you. Let me bring in the focus. There you go, you can see it. It's a little plastic washer, and that's all it is really. And if you could see the thing I've just shown you, you will have seen that it was quite badly warped and out of shape. And basically what's happened there is it's melted, right? And the reason it melts is because if you get oil on the commutator, it causes a lot of arcing, a lot of sparking, it generates heat. And this plastic thing, this little plastic washer I've got here, obviously melted, it lost its shape, and so it wasn't free to turn anymore, and that was causing a lot of friction inside the motor, and that was causing that that slow running and the smoke and all the struggling and such. And I think what must have happened was, after it's done all that struggling, it would have gotten hot again and melted the plastic and then freed it up.
but that will explain why every time you come to run it from cold, the issue returns. So what I've done is I've removed that little washer, as you can see. Yeah, I've removed it, and that's absolutely fixed the problem. Now, it's not ideal to have removed that washer because obviously it was in there for a reason, and I think the reason, first of all, is to hold the armature in place. Now that it's gone, the armature is a little bit more free to move, which isn't ideal. You know, it's going to cause a little bit more wear and tear. But I think the other purpose of it was to act as a bit of a barrier between the outside world and the armature. And it would probably play a part in stopping some of that oil from the outside getting onto the commutator. But obviously now that's not there, I'm going to have to be very, very careful about oiling the motor. In fact, I might not even oil that end of it at all. But it has fixed the problem, and I've done that on my LMYR Class 5 tank as well, and that has also fixed the problem. So, yeah, finally, that is the issue. But, yeah, she seems to be running fine now. She's a beautiful Patriot, and she's got some Pullman coaches hooked up on the back of her, as you can see. And, yes, she's in this very beautiful LMS maroon. So let's get her started. My newly repaired, only repaired yesterday, Bachmann Patriot. Absolutely fantastic. See? Good as new, absolutely fantastic. So next up then, another absolute LMS classic, and there are loads of famous LMS locomotives of course, and this is definitely one of them. So this is the Coronation class. This particular one is Princess Alexandra, and as you can see she has got the streamlining, and coupled to her is the entirety of her Scot train. I've got 5 of those coaches and they're all coupled up, so hopefully this is going to be a real nice spectacle to see. Let's get her started. Princess Alexandra, the beautiful streamlined Coronation with the Coronation Scot coaches. Here she goes. And she's a superb runner. She really is. I love that one. In fact, let's go a little bit faster with her. There we go. Okay, inside line then. So here we have the first of today's double headers, and this is one of my personal favourite LMS classes. I suppose really this class originates from the Midland Railway rather than the LMS, but they certainly were LMS locos, as you can see by the tenders. So this is the Midland Compound 1000 class. We've got the maroon one at the front there, 1000, that's the famous one. And then behind there we've got the later 1072 that Hornby have done more recently, of course, with the slightly different tender. Is that going to be the Fowler tender? I don't remember. I think so. I could be wrong. And she's number 1072, of course, in the LMS black. So together they're going to be pulling this rake, relatively small rake actually, of LMS coaches. And without any further ado, let's get them running. Fantastic. Quite speedy locos, those. And I can't tell you how good it feels to have gotten this beautiful Patriot working again. Because obviously when you've got locos that are faulty, it does put you off running them, which is a shame because she's gorgeous. But now I can run her, and I'm really pleased that I can. There goes the Coronation, and the Patriot just following behind. Absolutely gorgeous. Oh, it's so nice to see her running properly, thank goodness. But let's not forget the gorgeous looking double header there. Quite nice to see. I don't remember doing that one before, so yeah, that's possibly a first on this channel at least. Oh, look at that. How exciting. It's been a long time since I've been genuinely excited to see one of my own engines run. Really nice, that. And there's the Coronation. Okay, I'm going to think about bringing these to a stop then, and I'll show you what's next. Okay, let's stop these beauties then. I'm going to slow the Patriot down nice and gently. There we go. No passengers falling over today, hopefully. And let's wait for the others. I think it will be the compounds arriving next. Let's try another nice gentle stop with those. Just ease them into the shot there. Always a good performance from those. And the Coronation, which has snuck up on me a bit, so it might not be quite such a smooth stop. There we go. So 4 just superb performers really, especially the Patriot now. Absolutely fantastic. Right, I'm going to shift these into the sidings then, and I'll be back in just a second. We've had the passenger session, so now it's time to do some freight and goods. Okay, so here's the first of the freighters then, and this is a very unusual looking one, isn't it? It's a 080. It's the class G2A, obviously, in BR Black, also known as the Super D, and yes, I know, have your little giggle. To some youngsters that might sound like a funny name, but yeah, very, very unusual, very interesting looking loco, I think, and I haven't reviewed this one in absolutely years, and my existing review for it is pretty bad, so I'm thinking about redoing that one day, so let me know in the comments if you think I should. Anyway, she's pulling some of my larger wagons. Lots of those have stones in them, as you can see, so quite a good weight to that train really, but let's see if she can manage it then. So here we go, the Super D or G2A. Let's get her started. Here we go. See if I can do this nice and gently. Yep, looking good. Right, let's speed her up then. Didn't see much wheel slip going on there, so that's pretty good. Okay, let me show you what is on the middle line then. So here's another classic LMS freight locomotive which all the enthusiasts seem to really enjoy and follow. So of course it's the 4F, a lovely 060 tender engine, a massively successful 060 tender engine at that. And as you can see, she's got some of these smaller wagons. These are all empty, so it should be a bit lighter for her, although actually she's a really, really good puller, so I don't think it'll be a problem. But anyway, here she goes then, the beautiful LMS 4F, the Fowler 4F of course. See if I can't do another nice gentle start. Look at that, that is just so controllable, isn't it? Buzzing, absolutely love it. Okay, let's turn her up then. Not too fast though. Perfect. Okay, so here is quite a serious looking locomotive actually. This is the IVAT Class 4. It's 260 I believe, and I don't actually know very much about these, I have to admit, but I hope it is an LMS loco. I know IVAT did do some designs for the LMS, so I'm thinking it is, but I suppose it could be a BR design or something like that. But either way, she's lovely, and she's certainly LMS region, isn't she? And as you can see, she's pulling quite a long train, reasonably long train of box vans, meat and fish, well, fish fingers at any rate. So here she goes then, the IVAT Class 4 in BR Black. Really, really lovely actually. As I say, quite business-like, certainly not beautiful, but I would say certainly dignified. So let's get her started then, the IVAT Class 4. Fantastic, and you've got a real sea of wagons going by you now. Okay, let's have a running session with these then. So yes, the LMS were certainly very well represented on the freight front, weren't they? Some just amazing freight designs. Just waiting for some of the others to appear. Don't know where the Super D's got to. Let's have a look round here. And I've always loved the Super D just because she's bizarre looking, isn't she? The 080 wheel configuration really is quite unusual. And there weren't many of them, were there, as far as I know. Less so with tender engines. But yeah, I mean, I think the reason I bought the G2A to start with was because of the 080 wheel configuration. I just found it fascinating. And it is, I'll try and get a close-up of her running for you, because it's weird. It's weird looking. But in a good way, of course. I'm not trying to criticise it. Got an awesome race going on here between two of the engines. Looks like the IVAT is going to pull into the lead though, because she's taken a bit of a corner cut. Oh, that was a bit of bad sportsmanship. And here comes the G2A again. Tender first, of course, just for a change. Very good puller. Let's see if I can get her going past up close then, so you can see how weird she looks. Ooh, weird. And there she goes, under the passenger footbridge. And the 4F should be on her way too. Yeah, there she is. Yeah, what a classic the 4F is. And that's the Bachmann one, by the way. I do have the Hornby one too, but that one is DCC, so I'm on DC mode at the moment. And I've also not reviewed the IVAT yet, not the Class 4 at least, so that's one I've still got to do. So again, in the comments, let me know which you prefer. Do you want me to do the G2A or the IVAT? Or both. Probably end up doing both, to be fair.
Okay then, really enjoyed that actually. As a rule I normally tend to prefer passenger locos, but yeah, these have been really nice. So let's bring these to a stop. There goes the IVAT. The 4F was just slowly creeping forward, so I'll stop her, and the same with the G2A. So there we go, that is your freighters round. I'm going to give you a little bit of an update on the sidings now, once these three have been put into those, and we'll see how things are building up. So here is everything that you've seen so far, and it's certainly starting to look pretty busy over here, especially since the freighters have joined the party. So yeah, it's looking good, and it's only going to grow as we go on. So now I thought I would do a bit of a vintage round and show you some real classic Triang LMS locomotives. So let's get to that, here we go. So here we are then, this is the first of the vintage locos, possibly the shortest train of the day. The loco here is of course the ex-Caledonian single wheeler. I suppose technically this isn't Triang, this is more Hornby now, because Triang didn't do the maroon version. Theirs was of course Caledonian blue, and then a few years later, a couple of decades later, Hornby did this maroon one, I think in the 70s perhaps, roughly, thereabouts anyway, and she's coupled to just two ex-Caledonian coaches as you can see. So quite a nice little train, hopefully it won't prove to be too big of a train to haul up Gordon's Hill, but I suppose there's only one way to find out. So let's get her started and see what happens. Whoops, not quite what I had in mind. Oh, now she's going to struggle. Hang on, give me a sec. Yeah, she went the wrong way and then got stuck on the hill. But hopefully she'll be okay. If I give her a decent speed like that, she should have enough momentum to keep going up the hill. Okay, another double header here for you then, and this is Dealeyception because these are the Dealey 060 tender engines, and as you can see they've both got the same running number, so certainly not something that you can see in real life, but in model form it is possible. So the single wheeler train was the shortest of the day. I think this one's going to be the longest because as you can see it's a double header with a rake of 8 coaches, 8 LMS coaches. Quite a big rake, hopefully they'll look good with those. Let's get them started then and see if they can haul it. Yep, looks like they can. Right, it's getting pretty noisy in here now, but if you can still hear me, on the inside line something quite special. This is of course the turbo motive, William Stanier's turbo motive. Triang never actually made one of these. Someone very cleverly, not me, has bought one of the Triang princesses and actually converted the model into this turbo motive, which is very, very cool. She's coupled up to just 3 of my Queen of Scots Pullman coaches, which I think actually really suit her quite nicely, so I'll have to remember that and do it again. But here goes then the turbo motive. Let me just come around the back here and let's get her started. A little bit of juice, not too fast, not too slow. And enjoy this running session. There go the 2 Dealeys. Couldn't not have some Triang stuff in this, could I? I'm glad I did, because they really are lovely. Got a lot of character. Got everything going in the same direction this time. Quite nice to do that for a change. There's turbo motive. Here comes the massively long Dealey train. And let's see if the single can get up the hill. Blimey, she is going quick. Look at her go. She perhaps doesn't even need to be going that quick. She got up there no problem, so I think I will slow her down a little touch. See how she gets on. Alright, let's see if that's a bit better. It's still quite fast, but she will wheel slip a bit up at the top there. Yeah, as you can see, she slowed right down, but she did get away with it. And get a load of that massive rake of LMS coaches. I recently got an extra 2 coaches from that rake at a train fair, so it's the first time it's been together, all 8 of them. Oops, there goes the single in the background, just a blur. There goes turbo motive, quite a noisy girl, but a good runner nonetheless. There go the 2 Dealeys. Really quite good pullers, even though there's 2 of them. Not struggling really, are they, with that lot? And of course there goes the single wheeler. There goes turbo motive. I can keep her in focus. Probably not. Alright, well that's been really good, I've enjoyed that. Time to stop these. Might as well stop the Dealeys while they're going by. There we go, just out of shot actually, that's the shame. Tell you what, while we're waiting for the single to arrive, I'll back these up a bit because they have managed to pop out of shot, haven't they? Go on, don't get stuck on the points. There we go. Locomotive, you can back up some. And here comes the single. See if I can get her in the shot first time. There we go, fine. Very nice. Right, I'm going to pop these into the sidings then, as with all of the engines of today. And then I think there's time for one last round, so I'm going to show you some tank engines to finish off with. Alright, don't go anywhere, I'll be right back. So here's the first tank engine then, and this one's an old favourite. Everybody always seems to love this one. So it's the LMYR Class 5, and as you might remember, I think the last time she appeared in a video, she was doing that thing where there was a lot of smoke and bad running and such. And again, yesterday I did the same fix as I did on the Patriot with her, and she's running absolutely perfectly again now, so I'm really pleased about this one too. She's got a small sort of mixed rake of those little four-wheeled wagons, well coaches, they're not wagons, they are coaches, which I always think look nice, and I've tried to put some of the different versions on that train just to make things different. But here we go then, the LMYR Class 5, let's get her started. So on the middle line then, here's yet another super famous class of LMS locomotive, and today's video has amazed me actually. I'd forgotten how many there were. Of course this is the Ginty though, really classic loco with a rake of different sort of tankers. Yeah, there's Pepsi, there's milk I think, fuel, all sorts of stuff. Let's get her started then, the LMS Ginty. Nice and steady because she has got a good strain and we don't want to spill any Pepsi or anything on the track because it is sticky. Okay, let me show you what's on the inside line then, the last loco running of the day. So here's quite a large tank engine then in comparison to the others. It's the LMS Fowler 4P number 2311 with a relatively small rake of blood and custard coaches. I think she looks lovely with those. So here she goes then, she's quite a vintage one, quite an old one. Let's get her started. There you have it. So one last running session then, and now that you've seen all the locos running, let me know in the comments which one was your favourite. So there she is then, the 4P, gotta be one of the most attractive LMS tank engines in my opinion. Really lovely, isn't she? And here comes the Class 5, past all the other engines. Oh, she is nice. Glad to see her working properly again. There goes a little red Ginty. Of course I couldn't really have an LMS running session without having her in it in some form, so there she goes, being overtaken by the Class 5. Looks good. There we go, nice and steady performance from the 4P. She's always been a nice steady runner. Really quite good that. And the Ginty again. Looking quite nice with the tankers I think too, that's quite a nice thing to do. Okay, let's bring these lovely engines to a stop then, lovely tank engines. You'll notice I had them all running in the same direction this time, just for a bit of a change. There we go, stop them all together. Oh, and they're all maroon, I didn't realise that. Very nice, so I'll put these into the sidings then, and I'll add some honourable mentions too, and I will show you everything together. This is my favourite part of these videos, so let's go over there to the sidings then, and take a look at everything all together. So, there they all are then, and wow, oh, weren't the LMS just an impressive bunch of engines? Really fantastic. So anyway, I've thoroughly enjoyed that. I hope you have too. At the front here, I've just popped some honourable mentions, so I'll show you those straight away. Obviously, there were loads to choose from, so I've just picked three specific classes that I wanted to show, but didn't for whatever reason. So the first one there is the Royal Scot. Obviously, again, a very famous LMS class of locomotive. Didn't show that one, but I am doing now, just so that she's got a mention. Also, the Crab, of course. I've only just reviewed her, so I thought I would let some of the other engines have a turn at being seen, but she's gorgeous too. And then of course the Jubilee, once again quite a well-known class of LMS loco and definitely worth putting in there I think. But that's the lot anyway folks, really hope you enjoyed seeing all of these, and of course do let me know in the comments if you haven't already which one was your favourite of the lot. And I think that's all I've got to say, so once again thank you very much for watching. Feel free to go and check me out on Facebook and Twitter for all of the latest updates, and from me that's all I've got to say. So thanks everybody for watching, lovely to have your company, and I hope you loved seeing all these LMS engines as much as I did. Alright, cheers everybody, see you very soon.